predicted. The trainer used a phrase that immediately became the most discussed quote in golf. "He's moving like someone who thinks they can win, not someone just trying to make the cut." That distinction is absolutely crucial. Tiger's played in several tournaments since the car crash, but his goal was always just to compete, to be present, to show he could still play golf at the highest level. Winning seemed beyond realistic expectations given his physical limitations. But this hint, combined with the leaked reports about his practice sessions and improved mobility, suggests Tiger's mindset has shifted dramatically. He's not going to Augusta just to participate, he's going to compete, and maybe, impossibly, to win. Odds makers reacted immediately. Tiger's odds to win the 2026 Masters, which were sitting at 150-1 just days ago, dropped to 40-1 within 12 hours of his comment. That's a massive move for a player who hasn't won a tournament since 2019 and whose physical capabilities remain questionable. But the betting market reflects something the experts won't say out loud yet. Tiger Woods at Augusta National, even at 50% physically, is more dangerous than almost anyone else in the field at 100%. Current players are watching all of this with a mixture of respect and genuine nervousness. Scottie Scheffler, the world's #1 who'll enter Augusta as the favorite, was asked about Tiger's hint, and his response was telling. He said, "If Tiger thinks he can compete at Augusta, then everyone else better take him seriously. That place does something to him that defies logic." That's the world's best player admitting that Tiger Woods at the Masters operates on a different plane of reality than normal golf. Rory McIlroy, who spent his entire career chasing the career Grand Slam that only a green jacket would complete, posted on social media hours after Tiger's comment. Just one word: motivated. The implication was clear. If Tiger's coming to Augusta believing he can win, Rory's not going to let the greatest player ever add another major while Rory's still searching for his first Masters title. Tiger's hint didn't just energize his own comeback, it lit a fire under every player who'll compete at Augusta. But here's where the story gets truly fascinating and reveals something about Tiger's strategic genius that most people miss. The timing of this hint wasn't accidental. Tiger dropped it exactly 3 weeks before the Masters, giving himself just enough time to build momentum and narrative without enough time for his body to break down or for expectations to spiral completely out of control. He's managing the psychological warfare perfectly, letting everyone know he's coming while keeping the specific details mysterious enough to maintain intrigue. Behind the scenes, Augusta National officials are reportedly thrilled and terrified simultaneously. Thrilled because Tiger Woods competing seriously at the Masters generates more media attention, television viewership, and cultural impact than any other storyline in golf. Terrified because if Tiger's body fails him publicly at Augusta, it could become a tragic final chapter that overshadows the greatness of his entire career. The tournament doesn't need Tiger to be successful, but having him there believing he can win elevates everything exponentially. The medical community watching this unfolds with fascination and skepticism. Multiple orthopedic surgeons who've studied Tiger's injuries have gone on record saying his ankle fusion should make the rotational power needed for elite golf virtually impossible. The physics of the golf swing require explosive hip rotation and ankle flexibility that Tiger's hardware simply shouldn't allow. And yet, the reports from people who've seen him practice suggest he's generating clubhead speed that defies medical expectations. One sports medicine doctor, speaking to Golf Digest, offered a theory that's gaining traction. He suggested Tiger might have undergone some kind of experimental procedure or therapy that's not public knowledge yet, something cutting edge that's improved his mobility beyond what traditional ankle fusions typically allow. The doctor was careful to say he had no direct evidence, but the circumstantial indicators all pointed towards something medically significant happening that Tiger's keeping private. Phil Mickelson, who's competed against Tiger for over 2 decades and knows him better than most players, gave an interview where he said something chilling. "Never bet against Tiger Woods at Augusta National. I've learned that lesson too many times. If he's dropping hints like this, he knows something we don't." That's Phil Mickelson, a 6-time major champion, essentially admitting that Tiger operating at even partial capacity at the Masters is more threatening than most players at full strength. The practice round betting markets at Augusta have already shifted dramatically. Normally, guys like Scheffler, Jon Rahm, and Rory McIlroy draw the biggest crowds and generate the most interest. But early reports suggest Tiger's practice rounds are already getting more requests for tickets and generating more media credential applications than any other player. The golf world wants to see what he looks like, whether the hint was real substance or just Tiger being Tiger and creating psychological warfare. What makes this situation so emotionally intense is that everyone watching knows this might be the last time. Tiger's not getting younger. His body's not getting healthier. The window for one more magical run at Augusta is closing rapidly, possibly permanently. So, when Tiger drops a hint like this, suggesting he's physically capable and mentally ready to compete seriously, it feels like a final gift to golf fans who've watched his career with awe. His tee shot found the fairway perfectly, leaving him just 220 yards to the green with a chance to get back under par and stabilize his round. This is the kind of situation Scheffler converts 90% of the time. Routine golf for the world's best player. But Scheffler's approach shot flew way right, sailing over the green and into thick rough that's almost impossible to escape from. The gallery went silent. Commentators started stumbling over their words, trying to explain what they'd just witnessed. And then things got worse. Scheffler's chip shot from the rough came out fat, barely advancing the ball 10 yards and leaving him still off the green with another difficult pitch ahead. What happened next is what has the entire golf world in absolute shock. Scheffler's caddy, Ted Scott, normally calm and professional, turned to his player and said something that cameras caught audio of. "You're not thinking clearly right now. Step back." That moment, that public acknowledgement from a caddy that his player was mentally compromised, has never been seen before at this level. Caddies don't call out their players on camera during tournaments. They support, they encourage, they problem solve quietly. But Scott's intervention was so direct and so public that it immediately went viral. Scheffler did step back, took 3 deep breaths that cameras zoomed in on, and eventually made bogey on the hole. But the damage was done. He finished Friday with a 74, 5 over par, and missed the cut at Pebble Beach for the first time in his career. The world's #1 player, the guy who'd been untouchable for 2 years, was going home early from one of golf's most prestigious events. The post-round interview was painful to watch. Scheffler looked exhausted, not physically, but mentally drained in a way nobody had seen from him before. When asked about the pressure of maintaining his #1 ranking and living up to enormous expectations week after week, Scheffler's response sent shockwaves through the golf community. "Sometimes the weight gets heavier than you want to admit," he said quietly. "You try to push through it, but today I couldn't. Today it won." That admission, that public vulnerability, from a player known for being mentally bulletproof, changed everything. That this wasn't just a bad week. This was Scottie Scheffler admitting that the pressure was affecting him, that the expectations were becoming unbearable, that even he had limits to what he could handle mentally. Golf analysts immediately started drawing comparisons to other dominant players who'd cracked under sustained pressure. Tiger Woods' struggles in the late 2000s, Rory McIlroy's repeated major championship collapses after his early success, Jordan Spieth's 2016 Masters meltdown that seemed to break something inside him for years. The pattern was terrifyingly clear. Sustained dominance creates unsustainable pressure, and eventually, even the strongest mental games crack under the weight. Behind the scenes, reports started leaking that Scheffler had been showing signs of strain for weeks before Pebble Beach. Multiple sources described him as more withdrawn in locker rooms, less engaged with other players, and visibly tense during practice rounds. One fellow pro, speaking anonymously, said Scottie looked like a guy carrying the world on his shoulders and nobody was allowed to help him put it down. The $20 million figure isn't arbitrary. That's roughly what Scheffler earned in 2024 between prize money, bonuses, and endorsements. But it's also the expectation that comes with being #1. Every tournament he enters, he's expected to contend. Every major championship, he's expected to win or at least be in the conversation on Sunday. Every shot is analyzed, every decision questioned, every moment scrutinized by millions of people who've decided that Scottie Scheffler being dominant is the new normal and anything less is failure. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. On Monday after Pebble Beach, Scheffler made a decision that shocked everyone and showed he's at least aware of the problem even if he doesn't know how to solve it yet. He withdrew from the next tournament on his schedule, citing the need for mental rest and time with family. For a player who almost never skips events, who prides himself on showing up and competing week after week, this was a massive red flag that something fundamental had shifted. The withdrawal sent the golf media into overdrive. Was Scheffler taking a smart break to reset mentally? Or was this the beginning of a longer spiral where the pressure had broken something that couldn't be easily fixed? Opinions were split dramatically. Some praised his self-awareness and willingness to prioritize mental health. Others worried this was the exact wrong move, that stepping away would only make coming back harder and increase the pressure when he did return. Scheffler's team released a statement saying he needed time to recharge and refocus, that the demands of maintaining his position at the top of the sport had been more draining than anticipated, and that he'd return when he felt mentally ready to compete at the level he expects from himself. The statement was professional and measured, but reading between the lines revealed something more concerning. Scheffler wasn't sure when he'd be ready to come back. This wasn't a scheduled week off. This was an open-ended break with no return date, which suggested the mental struggle was deeper than anyone outside his inner circle realized. Meanwhile, the golf world started asking uncomfortable questions about the modern game and whether the level of scrutiny and expectation placed on top players had become toxic and unsustainable. Social media amplifies every mistake. Data analytics expose every weakness. Constant television coverage means there's nowhere to hide. And the financial stakes, with tens of millions of dollars on the line every season, create pressure that previous generations of golfers never experienced. Some analysts argued that Scheffler's struggle was inevitable given the impossible standards he'd set for himself. When you win 8 times in a season, anything less the next year feels like failure, even if it would be the best year of most. Built careers around mental toughness and ice-cold composure. But ask any of them about facing Tiger Woods in his prime, and something shifts. The voice changes, the eyes go somewhere else, and what comes out isn't just respect or admiration, it's something closer to genuine fear. What did Tiger actually do to these men psychologically? Why do legends like Jack Nicklaus, Phil Mickelson, and Ernie Els still struggle to fully explain the experience? And how did one golfer make the entire field feel defeated before a single shot was even hit? Let's start with the number that explains everything. Between 1999 and 2002, Tiger Woods entered 40 tournaments and won 18 of them. Nearly half. In a sport where winning 20% of your events over a career makes you an all-time great, Tiger was winning 45% during a 3-year stretch that defied every statistical model ever built around professional golf. But the raw numbers don't capture what it actually felt like to be on the same course as him. The numbers tell you Tiger was dominant. The legends tell you Tiger was something else entirely. Something that kept them awake at night before Sunday rounds and haunted them for years after their careers ended. Ernie Els, a 2-time US Open champion and one of the most gifted ball strikers of his generation, described playing alongside Tiger during peak dominance as psychologically devastating in ways he'd never experienced against any other competitor. Els said that when you're paired with Tiger on Sunday, you don't just play the golf course, you play Tiger, the crowd, the history, and your own fear simultaneously. He described watching Tiger drain a long birdie putt and feeling something physically change in his own body, a tightening in the chest, a heaviness in the legs that had nothing to do with fitness and everything to do with watching someone operate on a level that made you question everything you thought you knew about the game. Els won 2 majors and spent years inside the top 5 in the world. He was genuinely elite. And yet he described facing Tiger as feeling fundamentally outmatched in ways that had nothing to do with technique or talent. It was psychological, it was emotional, and it was absolutely devastating to experience from inside the ropes. But here's what made Tiger truly terrifying beyond just the skills and the statistics. It was the psychological warfare he conducted without saying a single word. Phil Mickelson, who faced Tiger more times than almost anyone, and who had his own incredible career with 6 major championships, described the experience of walking alongside Tiger on Sunday afternoon as a masterclass in silent domination. Tiger would make a birdie, look at the leaderboard, and then walk to the next tee with an expression that said, "I'm not done," and everyone within 50 yards could feel it like a physical force pressing down on them. Mickelson revealed that Tiger had a specific ability to make everyone around him feel like the tournament was already over, even when the math clearly said it wasn't. Phil described a moment during the 2000 season where he was only 2 shots behind Tiger heading into the back 9, completely within striking distance, and yet somehow felt like he was 10 behind. The gap wasn't on the scorecard, it was in his head, and Tiger had put it there without speaking a single word or making a single gesture designed to intimidate. Just by being Tiger Woods, he made Phil Mickelson feel beaten before the game was decided. If you're getting chills from these stories, smash that like button and subscribe, because golf legends have barely scratched the surface of how terrifying Tiger really was. Jack Nicklaus, the man whose major championship record Tiger spent his entire career chasing, offered perhaps the most chilling assessment of all. Nicklaus, who dominated his own era so completely that he understood what true excellence felt like from the inside, said that Tiger at his peak did something no other golfer in history had ever done. He made winning feel inevitable, not probable, not likely, inevitable. Nicklaus explained that every other great player, including himself, had weeks where they were beatable, where opponents could sense vulnerability and smell an opening. Tiger eliminated those openings completely during his dominant years. When Tiger was leading after 54 holes, the tournament felt decided. Not probably decided, actually decided, and everyone in the field knew it and felt it pressing down on their shoulders. Nicklaus went further, saying something that stopped every interviewer who heard it cold. He said that he never felt fear playing golf against anyone in his own career. Not Arnie Palmer, not Gary Player,